Welcome to the All Things Nintendo podcast. I'm Brian Shea, and this is a weekly podcast to discuss all the biggest news and games from the world of Nintendo. I am currently traveling to visit my parents in Florida, so we are recording this just a day early, but we have a decent amount of stuff to talk about. First up, we will recap the Nintendo Indie World Direct, and then we have not one, not two, but 3 game reviews to deliver for games that are available this week on the Switch 2. Joining me for all of that is Game Informer's own Florida correspondent, Wesley LeBlanc. Wes, are you sick of coming on ATN yet?
No, not at all. I'm always happy to bring the Florida representation that every podcast needs, and my daughter Sophia is as well.
Yes, she is. She's actually mad that I did not invite her on this podcast.
Yes.
But we have a lot to get to this episode. You know, we're going to start off with that Indie World presentation, which gave us a few shadow drops, 2 of which are games that we have previously played and very much enjoyed. So we'll be talking about those games, giving our reviews, even though they're from previous years, but you know, now they're new on Switch. So we're going to review them on this podcast. And then, of course, the big headliner for this episode is Pokémon Pokopia, which you and I have both been playing, Wes. I have played it through to completion. You have put in probably more than a dozen hours, if I had to guess at this point.
Yeah, I'm at like 15 to 20 somewhere. I don't know. My Switch hasn't updated to show me what time yet, so I'm kind of just guessing.
Okay. Well, I know that mine, based on the Nintendo Store, my that app, that apparently gives you more up-to-date information than your Switch itself, which is wild.
About that. Yeah, I should have checked that.
So I looked at mine, and it just says over 40 hours. So I put in a lot of time into Pokopia, and we will be talking about that at the tail end of this episode. This is going to be a single segment. We're going to go through these Indie World announcements, talk a little bit about each one of them, and then we will transition to some reviews for you all. So I hope you enjoy this episode. And as a programming note, I'm going to visit my family in Florida this week, and then I am flying directly to San Francisco to represent Game Informer at the Game Developers Conference. As such, I have pre-recorded an episode for you all next week. I think it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a topic that I think a lot of people here will be excited about. And I know I've been doing a lot of Pokemon stuff in recent weeks with the anniversary and with Pokemon Day and now Pokopia. It will be a break from that. So if you're kind of tired of the Pokemon discussions on this podcast, you will be able to catch your breath next week. Do not worry. And it's focused heavily on an anniversary of another major franchise that just passed, if you would like a very obvious hint there. But without much further ado, we're going to get into these Indie World announcements. But first, just a reminder that this show is a Patreon-supported show. Without the support of the patrons, this show would not exist. We have options for $3 a month, which gets you access to Community Discord, $5, which gets you early and ad-free episodes, and $10, which gives you shout-outs at the end of every episode. You can join the team that makes this show happen by going to patreon.com, searching Brian Shea or All Things Nintendo. Again, it is only because of the fine folks who support this podcast on Patreon that I'm able to keep it going week after week. All right, Wes, you are Game Informer's, I would say, foremost news hound when it comes to breaking news, big updates that happen. Right before we recorded this, you asked if we could go a little bit later because you were covering some big news out of the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed is now coming to Switch. So, I guess we should talk about that before we jump into the indie stuff. Now that it's fresh on your mind, we just got Shadows in December on the Switch 2. We've had the Ezio trilogy on Switch for a while. I have not had a chance to thumb through this. Enlighten me. What was this big Ubisoft announcement regarding Assassin's Creed?
Yes, so the most pertinent thing probably to Switch 2 owners, hopefully, is Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft has finally, I don't want to say like officially confirmed, but like 99% of the way there said that the Black Flag for the Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake that has been heavily rumored and basically leaked all over the place is real. Inside of their, they did a franchise-wide update today, and they basically said the new head of content for Assassin's Creed, who took that position last week, it's Jean Guisden, basically said like there's lots of speculation about Assassin's Creed. Some of it's real, some of it's not. But there are whispers of one with some wind in its sails. Keep an eye on the horizon, which That's pirates. That's Black Flag. And then also there is a little image of Edward Kenway standing on the sails of a ship, and in the corner it says Assassin's Creed Black Flag resynced. So the 4 is dropped, resynced is added, which has been the long rumored name of this remake. And sounds like we'll be hearing from Ubisoft about it soon. Maybe SGF, maybe even sooner than that. Who knows? Um, so hopefully that comes to Switch too. You would think it would, considering Shadows did. Elsewhere in the franchise, Shadows is preparing to kind of be sunset as far as updates go. It will still get like life support type updates, but and there's a few surprises in store, but they are planning final updates. Codename Hex, the 17th century set. Well, this is not confirmed, but the heavily rumored 17th century set Holy Roman Empire witch trials, witch hunts game. Guisden talked on that. He basically said, like, we're still working at it. You might hear about something soon. Probably not, though, because we have a lot still to do on it. He called it a dark, unique narrative for Assassin's Creed. Nothing really super new here, just kind of reconfirmation. What we've already known about this project is that it's probably going to be a spookier Assassin's Creed. Which I'm excited about. And when it was originally announced, it was going to be like a smaller scale thing. I would probably guess this is going to be like Assassin's Creed Mirage, kind of like a throwback AC title versus one of the massive 100-hour open world RPGs. But who knows? You know, Ubisoft could have changed things in the time since that announcement years ago. And then moving over to some other things, he discussed Codename Invictus, which is the PvP multiplayer game set in the Assassin's Creed universe. Interestingly, he said the Guisden guy said that like he's seen the rumors out there and speculation, and that like people shouldn't believe everything they read. Those rumors are that it is a Fall Guys like experience with cartoonish visuals, kind of more party multiplayer fun. I didn't really buy that at the time because that doesn't really make sense for your first big PvP return, which is something people have wanted in Assassin's Creed. And furthermore, he said that they have a team of For Honor veterans at Ubisoft Montreal working on the game. Again, I don't think you hire For Honor veterans to make a party game. I think you have them make a really good community-led PvP game. You might be like, well, For Honor, that game that came out like a decade ago. Yeah, that game that came out a decade ago and still gets hefty updates to this day with a pretty robust community. Not the biggest community, but like people still play that game a lot. And I think that's because the For Honor team puts a lot of good and hard work into that game. So for me, as a massive Assassin's Creed fan, I am excited to hear that the For Honor team is the one working on the PvP experience for Assassin's Creed. Keeping in with multiplayer, he also touched on the reports that Ubisoft canceled a co-op kind of like raid style Assassin's Creed game. I don't have the name in front of me. Maybe it was Infinity or Nexus or something like that. But he said that what you've heard is probably true, and that the team is taking lessons learned from a canceled project to work on something new for co-op multiplayer. So again, kind of alluding to the reports out there without confirming and saying like, if you're in the know, you understand what I'm saying. And then we got news that a 60 FPS patch is coming to Unity, Assassin's Creed Unity on PS5 and Xbox consoles tomorrow, which is exciting.
That's random.
Yeah, it is. They did one for Syndicate back in 2024. It was just a straight 60 FPS patch, not even like a big resolution bump, nothing new, just like, hey, play this game at a smoother FPS. And I suspect that's what Unity's is going to be tomorrow, which is great. I think that game still holds up visually anyway. Like it's still one of the prettiest Assassin's Creed because of the lighting work done in that
now
game.
They fixed like all of the, not all of them obviously, but most of the big glitches that plagued that game's launch. I've heard it's one of the better Assassin's Creeds.
Yeah.
My problem has always been, and I know you can relate to this given that your last name is LeBlanc.
Yes.
I can't get over the fact that you're in Paris and everybody has a freaking British accent.
It is the weirdest, strangest decision. It's not like super surprising because like that's such a weird Western RPG thing to do back in the day. Like any game that's like set before 1900, British accents for some reason.
Like why are so many Star Wars characters have British accents? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. But it is a shame because it's like, why not just do French accents? Like, it's not, that wouldn't be that unheard of. But if you can get past that, it is a fantastic Assassin's Creed. The protagonist is probably one of the less memorable. He wasn't really given too much to work with.
Arno,
Like,
right?
yeah, Arno Dorian. It's not the most enriched narrative, but the actual gameplay is really cool. And it's kind of the first time Ubisoft tried out their black box design stuff where
Mm-hmm.
you have infinite number of ways to take down a target versus prior games where you kind of just tail them until you take them out. Worth playing today. No news of anything on Switch. This game is available, or no, it's not available on Switch, is it?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
yeah, Black Flag and Rogue are, but not Unity. So sorry, Switch players. I don't think it's going to come to Switch. And the last thing was they're still working on Codename Jade, which is the ancient China set mobile game. And they are going to be showing some Netflix live action Assassin's Creed stuff soon. If you missed the news, last year they announced that a Netflix live action Assassin's Creed series is in the works from the producers of HBO's Westworld, yay, and the producers of Paramount's Halo, not yay. So yeah, that's the quick off the top of my head report. There's a multiple stories up on Game Informer that you can go read if you want more details. But
So
yeah,
let me ask you about that the Westworld team making that. Is that Jonathan Nolan and shoot,
no
what's the woman's name? Okay, I was gonna say because that's the people that do the
Fallout
do
on
Fallout.
Prime. Yeah, no, it's not them. I forget the names of the people, but it's like someone else involved. And honestly, Westworld kind of didn't really stick the landing and was canceled eventually. But that first season
That
is
first season
still
was magical.
fantastic. Yeah, I
Yeah, that
agree.
first season was one of the best seasons of television, and then it fell off a cliff after
Yeah,
that, and then it just. I remember the final season of that show. I think it was like, oh, cool, Aaron Paul, fresh off of Breaking Bad,
yeah,
and I was super excited about that. And then I watched it, and I'm like, I am bored to tears here, and I eventually just stopped watching, and it seems like most
yeah,
people did as well because they canceled it shortly thereafter.
yeah. It kind of just petered out after a strong season one start. But I don't know. I'm excited for Assassin's Creed live action. I'm I saw Hayes Madsen, who we've talked about before, say that like Assassin's Creed to him is like Kingdom Hearts, where it's like it's good, it's bad, it's terrible, it's amazing. I'm gonna play every single one, and I'm right there with him. Like Resident Evil, Kingdom Hearts, and Assassin's Creed, I'm gonna play every game they release. It is what it is. Like I love them. Sometimes I hate them, but I will always check them out. And
Yeah.
I am personally excited about the future of Assassin's Creed. I like this new head of content. He's being very open and transparent. I like the way he's like kind of tiptoeing around rumors and speculation in a way that a lot of executives don't.
Hmm.
And I think that's kind of refreshing because, yeah, Ubisoft leaks like a boat made in a night. I don't know if that's a saying, but whatever. And and
What is
and,
that? A boat made in the night?
I don't know because they don't have light, so you can't see, and now you got holes. I don't something like that. But yeah, a promising future for Assassin's Creed.
We got to make that a thing going
Make it a
forward.
thing. Make it a thing.
A boat made in the night. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Like, I also, we were talking before we got on here about our favorite Assassin's Creed games, and we have a ranking over on GameInformer.com that we're discussing. Like, all right, well, how should we update this ranking list? And I gave my ranking of like, oh, these are my top 4 games. I completely forgot Syndicate existed. That's my number.
Yeah,
That's my number 2 Assassin's Creed game. It's just like it came out in such a weird time for the franchise because it was kind of paying for the sins of Unity, which had an
yeah.
extraordinarily rough launch, and because of that, Syndicate was largely disregarded. Even though I think that is the best of the classic style of Assassin's Creed games.
With an Austin Wintory score too. That's
Oh,
fantastic.
really?
Yeah, yeah. He did Journey and Sword of the Sea last year and all kinds of those
Yeah,
games in that
he's
vein. He's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
But all right, cool. Thanks for sharing that news
Yeah.
regarding Assassin's Creed. It's always a big story when there's an update to a massive franchise like that. And now that they're coming to Switch, seemingly they put the latest one on there, so we have no reason to think they would cut that off. And by all accounts, the Switch 2 is selling gangbusters to this day. So like you would
Yeah.
think Ubisoft, under this reorganization that it's recently undergone, and like, you know, shuffling of who's in leadership positions and all that, you would think they'd want to capitalize on what appears to be the most popular system out there right now.
Yeah.
Even as people are still adopting it. Because I've definitely heard my fair share of people this week with the Pokopia reviews going live being like, it's only on Switch 2? I don't have that
Yeah.
yet. And then like I had somebody even DM me that was like, because of your review, I pre-ordered Pokopia even though I don't have a Switch 2 yet, and I just plan on getting a Switch 2 at some point in the near future.
Dang, good for
Hey there, I'm Hugh from Poderation, and if you like today's show, why not check out Roll for Riz, a podcast as ridiculous and cheesy as its title implies. You might have heard of Isekai. You might have heard of Reverse Isekai. But have you heard of D&D Reverse Isekai, where an adventuring party finds themselves in modern-day Japan with their powers completely and utterly intact? It sounds ridiculous, right? But it sounds like you want to listen to it, right? Find Roll for Riz wherever you can get your podcasts.
them.
So,
Nice.
I mean, that's how it works. But we'll talk about Pokopia after we discuss the Nintendo Indie World presentation here. This isn't as big of a deal, I think, as the partner directs that we recently got, nor is it anywhere near as big of a deal as like a straightforward Nintendo Direct where it's like first party stuff and other high profile third party stuff. But there's some really good stuff in here. It started off, and I'm legitimately just using your outline as a guide here for what we're going to talk about. Some of these games I don't know anything about, so if you have anything to fill in the blanks, like by all means. But we actually just did a preview for this game in Game Informer, and it's called Dench Attack. And I've heard, I think Kyle Hilliard was the one that wrote it, because he has been talking a lot about it, and I keep looking and I'm like, what is that word? And it looks like a Dreamcast era action game where you're controlling, it looks like a train in Japan and bouncing back and forth between rails, and like I don't know like what even to make of this game, but it looks like a ton of fun. It is there's a demo available on Switch right now, or I guess Switch 2, and it's coming out June 17th, which was brand new information. What did you think about this announcement here, Wes?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's a game that a lot of people are excited for in the indie space, and getting the date at this Indie World Direct is pretty huge, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's like a very Dreamcast style, Jet Set Radio inspired game where you're just doing Tony Hawk stuff, but you're a train. It sounds insane, and if you watch a trailer, you'll be like, "Oh, that looks insane." And according to Kyle, it's quite fun. So it's one I'm excited for, and it's awesome that it's coming to Switch 2. There's also a Switch 2 exclusive train skin. So probably, actually, I don't know what it would be. Maybe Mario or Luigi or something like that. But I doubt that they would have access to that. Who knows?
I mean, if they're whoa, your dog is very excited about the next game that we're going to be getting to in a second here. But I would imagine that if they are doing a Switch thing and they're a Switch 2 exclusive skin and they're leading off the Indie World presentation, you would think that that would mean maybe they got some lines of communication to Nintendo and be like, hey, we'd like to do something cool with it. And usually these Switch 2 skins and like characters and all that stuff are usually Nintendo character themed, because like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's almost like how Spider-Man was exclusive to Marvel's Avengers PlayStation version because Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man. You would think that if they're going to do something that's Switch 2 exclusive, it would be something Nintendo themed, even if it's just a Switch, like a Switch skin or something like that. I don't know.
The main train in the key art is yellow, so maybe like a toss a Wario hat up front.
Oh God,
another day.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game is coming out on Switch 2 and a lot of other platforms on June 17th. Next up, we got the game your dog was clamoring for, and that is My Little Puppy. And this game looks like it's a very sad premise. You play as Bongu, who is a Welsh corgi who unfortunately has passed away. And he's in the afterlife, and after waiting for a long time, he smells his owner, his old owner back on Earth, and then has to venture through the afterlife to try and find him. And this game is coming out digitally on Switch May 26th, and then a physical release coming in June. Uh, is this game going to make me cry, Wes?
I think so. I mean, the studio, they're based in Korea. He said it's based on like his dog and his love of dogs, and how the saying is like your dog is goes to heaven or the afterlife first to like greet you or something, or like they're the first person to greet you when you get there. And the trailer shows the dog crossing the rainbow bridge, which is horrifying, and then the dog feels like it's waiting for an eternity and then catches scent of its owner. Presumably the owner has now died and it's time to go see him in the afterlife. And then what shows after is like kind of like a platforming adventure. Like you see two dogs on top of each, like a dog on top of another dog, and maybe some boss fight looking stuff. It looks like a cool little platformer, but almost assuredly is going to make all dog lovers cry. Yeah.
And a very charming art style as well. Like I think this game looks like it could be very fun.
Yeah, I agree.
And
My
also
Little Puppy
very,
is a really good name.
it is, and also very sentimental. Like I could see this being an absolute tearjerker if they pull it off the right way. And I mean, it seems like the heart is in the right place, right? Like it seems like they are doing this out of, like you said, their love of dogs. And honestly, dogs are amazing, so you should love dogs. Next up, we got a sequel to a game that I actually was introduced to, I believe, by Leo Vader. I think it was during an Extra Life stream back when Game Informer used to do those every single November. There was a game called Heave Ho, and it is so much fun. I think that I've used it as an eShop gem of the week one time. But basically, you are like these guys with you look like Geodude basically, where you are just like a circle with two arms, and you have to. I think that like each shoulder button or like there's like each trigger or something represents that hand, and you have to use momentum to swing and grab surfaces to make your way. It's like a platformer, but you're like climbing instead of like swinging using momentum to get from platform to platform. And then it's really ramped up when it's co-op, because then you can grab onto each other's hands and swing each other across the thing, and then like they'll grab onto something and then you have to swing to get over there, or you can swing and hold on to their hand and let go of yours, and people are letting go of the wrong hand. There's so many times where like we would be swinging and be like, all right, ready, 1, 2, 3, and then you accidentally let go of the wrong hand, and then you'd both just fall to your death. Very, very fun to play co-op in that. But yeah, there's a sequel called Heave Ho 2 that is coming to Switch and Switch 2 this summer, and you can play with up to 4 people locally or online. And you can, 8 worlds to play through, and I'm looking forward to that. And it also supports Game Share, so if you want to buy one copy and play it with your friends, it seems like you'll be able to do that. Did you have a chance to check out the original?
No, I didn't. I'd actually never heard of it before this trailer. It kind of just reminded me of a bunch of those types of games, like Get Over It, and I don't even know the other ones, but there's like a whole mini genre of these momentum-based platformers where the goal is to just laugh with your friends and do stupid stuff on screen. But it looks fun. Looks really cool. It's cool that it's
the kids are calling it Friend Slop.
Friend Slop. Oh yes, yeah.
That I don't think Heave Ho is as much that.
Yeah.
Like I would say like Peak is kind of like the biggest example of that right now. But I think Heave Ho is a little bit more about like your skill, but it is definitely like best enjoyed in co-op because it's just so many hilarious moments that come out of it. I think it's more of like a friend-focused co-op platforming experience than something like New Super Mario Brothers. But like think about all of like the hilarity that ensues when you play co-op with New Super Mario Brothers, like people jumping off each other's heads and bouncing their co-op partner into the lava. You will have so many more situations like that with Heave Ho, and I recommend the original, which is on Switch 1 already, so you can go check that out. This is a game that I did not play, and I'm sorry I interrupted you, Wes. Did you have anything else to say about Heave Ho?
No. I'm interested in checking it out. That's it, really.
Moonlighter 2. I never played the original Moonlighter. I did pick up Moonlighter 2 on early access on Steam, because the first game, from talking to people who did play it, because I remember when it came out, I think it was Joe Juba who reviewed it for us at Game Informer. He was extremely excited about it. Basically, it's like you're running a store, but you have to go out and adventure and like dungeon crawl in order to get the supplies to sell at your store. And so it's kind of like that two sides of the coin of like adventuring and then also like managing your store. I think I recall him being a little bit underwhelmed with the first one, being like, yeah, they just need to shore up this formula a little bit. And
Mhm.
it doesn't feel quite as good as it should. But that's why I'm so excited about Moonlighter 2, because like there's so many franchises where it starts off and it's like, yeah, there's a really good idea here. I mean, we just talked about Assassin's Creed. That first Assassin's Creed was
Yeah.
pretty rough. There were some amazing ideas in there, and then they hammered those home for Assassin's Creed 2, and look what happened to the franchise. And we could run down the list of so many other franchises that are in that same way. So if Moonlighter 2 can pull that off, I think that it has a chance to be something really special. And it's got that retro aesthetic. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And it's coming to Switch 2 this summer. As your story notes, it is also currently available in early access if you have a PC. But what did you think about this? Have you had any history with the Moonlighter franchise?
I didn't play the first one because I'm not really into like the type of game, like running a shop isn't really an attractive aspect of a game to me. But I did check out the second one in early access, and it's actually a lot of fun. I think they really improved the combat of the sequel based on what I've read, and it's a lot more. From what I've gathered, the first game is like a really good shop sim with like a tacked on combat section to like get you the items you need for your shop, whereas this feels like a more complete package. The dungeon runs are fun and exciting. The combat is like a lot more dense and has a lot more going on, and then the shop looks a lot cooler too. You're like kind of rebuilding an entire town now because you were misplaced or displaced from your previous home. And it's really cool how you have to like barter your prices and set the prices of the items you find. And it's kind of like playing a game where you collect loot and you're looking for like the best loot item because you want that in your arsenal, whereas in Moonlighter it's like I want that legendary piece of loot so I can put it on sale in my shop and make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I've enjoyed the early access from what I've played so far.
Well, that is coming to Switch 2 this summer. This makes me want to bring my Steam Deck on this trip I'm about to go on, because that way I can play the early access version of this and get a
Yeah,
sense for like what kinds of improvements have been put in place.
yeah, do it.
I'm wondering if they've put out a like an update on early access ever since they had this trailer on this indie world. Like
Hmm.
sometimes the publishers and developers will do that. Like if it's
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
we had a big trailer, well, this game is still in development. Let's throw people who paid for early access a bone. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I gotta charge my Steam Deck. I just bring my Switch 2 when I travel these days, but like I don't know, that game's not out on Switch 2 yet, and I'm
No,
in
it's not.
between games after finishing Pokopia and not wanting to start anything before I go on this week and a half long trip.
Yeah,
But yep, coming this summer. The
nice.
next one, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, nice. I'm excited. I think
Uh,
it's going to be a fun game. It's perfect for Switch.
this next thing I don't know much about, so you might have to carry this since you watched it. It's called Woodo. And this was the first time we've seen it, so it makes sense that I wouldn't know much about it. It's coming out this summer on both Switch and Switch 2, and basically, like, yeah, you're building like wooden things, and like you can like, it looks like you can like color them. Like, what is the deal
Yeah.
with this?
So I think you
It's
have
like
like
figures.
a diorama that's a bit of a puzzle, and to solve the puzzle, you put in wooden figures and like set dressing and all kind, like everything is wooden. And then once you've placed enough things in a certain scene of the diorama, it will come to life. Like it will become colored and it will have an animation. And it's very like cozy and cute type of vibe. They show like a ship moving through water, so I assume there's like some exploration, maybe to go find more puzzles. But yeah, they're very much like the team in the indie world talked about it being like a laid back experience. They're trying to recapture the fun of being a child and not having any rules or restrictions in your life the way you might now as an adult. So yeah, it looks interesting. It looks very cute. At least I'm excited for it. It seems like something to chill with while on the couch while I'm watching TV or something. So yeah, that's a game reveal for you in the indie world.
Yeah, and like I said, that is coming to Switch and Switch 2 this summer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, it supports mouse controls on Switch 2.
Yeah. I've yet to use mouse controls on Switch 2, but I'm glad it's there.
I used the mouse controls for my demo when I went to the Switch 2 reveal event back in April 2024, and I don't think I've turned a Joy-Con sideways since.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm rarely using Joy-Cons. It's almost always the Pro Controller.
Same. Yep.
We're going to skip the next announcement because we're going to do a bigger thing on that at the end here. But the following announcement was the Midnight Walk is getting a port to Switch 2. This originally came out last May on PS5 and PC. It is coming to Switch 2 at the end of this month, March 26th. And our dear friend and colleague Charles Hart reviewed this for us when it came out last year. And basically, the way he described it is it's like cozy horror. The story and the visuals are incredible, where it's kind of like he compared it to like Corpse Bride or like Nightmare Before Christmas in terms of like the aesthetic.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the biggest fan of the gameplay mechanics, even though he said they were still pretty fun. But he gave it an 8 out of 10, and you can go over to GameInformer.com and read more about that if you would like. Do you have anything to talk about with Midnight Walk?
No, I haven't played it. I wanted to because I like the aesthetic, but it's a first-person puzzle platformer type game, and I'm not typically drawn to like first-person in that genre. But the visuals and the music I know is very good, so I might check it out on Switch.
Mm-hmm. The next game we got a shadow drop. It's a game called Rotwood, which I love Clay Entertainment. I think it's a fantastic indie studio. It's funny that you call out Don't Starve as like the game that they're known for, because I know them as the studio behind Mark of the Ninja.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else did they? Didn't they do Invisible Ink as well? Or am I thinking of the wrong studio? No, they did Mark of the Ninja. They did Shank 2, Hot Lava, Oxygen Not Included, and Don't Starve. What am I thinking of with they did Invisible Ink as well. Turn-based espionage game that released in 2015. Okay, that's just not listed as what they're known for. They're known for Don't Starve, and I don't even know what Oxygen Not Included is, but it says that for me, Mark of the Ninja is always going to be my favorite Clay game. But man, Don't Starve, I got super into that on the Vita. So like I remember, I took my puppy that I used to have to get neutered, and I'm sitting in the parking lot while it's happening, just playing Don't Starve. And
poor guy.
While he's going through a life-altering event. But yeah, Rotwood is a shadow drop from Clay Entertainment. It's a 2.5 side-scrolling brawler, and it is on Switch 2 right now. I have not had a chance to check this out, but I might download this before I go on my trip, because I did not know a new Clay joint was coming out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a weird thing to shadow drop, I think. I mean, shadow drops are always cool, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like they maybe should have done a little more to push this game out, because it's a rough week to shadow drop a game, I'll say, on Switch 2. I think people have their minds occupied with Pokopia, maybe still playing Resident Evil Requiem from last week. But stoked that game's out. It looks really good. I want to check it out too. The art style is really nice. It kind of reminds me of Cult of the Lamb a bit, which I like.
Yeah, I love Clay's art style. I'm getting big Castle Crashers vibe. From this game. Like I'm watching the gameplay right now, and man, it just looks like, which by the way, that's a big compliment. Like Castle Crashers is perhaps the greatest modern side-scrolling beat 'em up. I mean, it's up there with like that and TMNT Shredder's Revenge in terms of like the best side-scrolling beat 'em ups. And if you can get comparisons to that and you can be pretty good, like that you're in great company. So that is available now on Switch or Switch 2, and it is $30. So you can go check that out. Adding it to my wish list for sure. Maybe I'll add it to my Switch 2 by the end of the day.
You have to bring your Switch 2 and your Steam Deck on the plane now.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely bringing my Switch too because I want to play. One, I want to play more Pokopia, but two, I want to get my start on Fire Red and Leaf Green, or I guess just Fire Red in my case. I ended up buying Fire Red. The next game that we can talk about here is Mixtape.
Yeah.
This is a game that a lot of people have been waiting on. It's coming out May 7th, which was brand new, and it's coming to Switch 2 and every other major platform. Wes, in addition to having a character that people have called out as looking like the video game representation of you,
Yes.
what else are you looking forward to with Mixtape?
I didn't really care for the Artful Escape too much, which was this team's prior game, but I liked the vision. I liked the artistry behind it. It just wasn't very fun as a game. Mixtape seems to be fixing that problem based on what we've seen. And more importantly, I am a sucker for a game that plays on the nostalgia of high school and the way soundtracks inform that nostalgia. And yeah, I mean, it's got like all the hallmarks of emo music, Pacific Northwest, high school romance, falling in love, chasing your dreams. Who knows where life's going to take you? Yeah, you put some high school kids on top of a car roof looking at the stars, talking about life, and I'm sold because I was one of those romantic about life suckers in high school as well, before the real world hit me like a ton of bricks.
I love that you're like, yeah, I was in love with life once. What a sucker.
Yeah. I too used to have a soundtrack playing in my head with my every life decision. Now I'm just living
used to have stars in my eyes.
Yeah.
I too used to have hope.
But I think this got delayed out of last year, and now we have a release date, or was it a release window? I can't remember.
It's May 7th.
Yes, very exciting. Very exciting.
That's right around the corner too. That's like, less than 2 months away, or I guess right around 2 months away.
Yeah, can't wait.
So that is out May 7th on Switch 2 and every other major platform. A game that I was excited to learn about is Blighted is coming to Switch 2. And this is the most recent game from Drinkbox Studios, which I know as the developer of Severed, which was a very, very fun. I wasn't even a big Vita guy, but we are referencing Vita twice in this episode.
I was about to say, yeah.
Severed was quite fun. I think they've also ported it over to Switch, but that was a touchscreen-driven action, like first-person action game, like action puzzle kind of, like because you were like I think it's almost like a first-person action Metroidvania, I would say. Because you had to like find upgrades and that opened new areas and stuff like that. But it was all driven by the touchscreen. So I don't know how it works if you want to play that in TV mode, but I believe they did port it to Switch a few years ago. But they also are the studio that did Guacamelee, which I know a lot of people, speaking of Metroidvanias, they love that series. I've never actually given it a shot, even though that is so up my alley.
I haven't either, yeah.
But this game, Blighted, looks absolutely gorgeous. This studio has always had incredible artwork. And it's an isometric action game, and it looks like it's going to have like psychedelic elements, and it is coming to Switch 2 this fall. So very excited for that.
Nice.
That team usually does very good work.
Yeah, their last game was Nobody Saves the World, I think.
Oh, right. That was like...
It didn't really hit for me, but some people liked it.
I think our production director, Margaret Andrews, is a big fan of that game.
Oh, nice.
Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe she hates it. Who knows? Maybe she's never even heard of it. I don't know. Somebody told me that they love that game.
Wasn't me.
Well, one of the last announcements we're going to talk about here is Dead Zone Rogue. This is a brand new game reveal. Basically, it's a first-person roguelite sci-fi shooter. And yeah, it's just, you go in, you do a run. Hopefully you make it far or further than you did before. You're reborn. You can upgrade your character and then go back in and try to do another run. And I'm always interested in these like new takes on roguelite, because it started off and it was like, okay, this is going to be an action game, and that's the only roguelite we're going to have. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about Carmageddon Rogue Shift. That is a roguelite race, or like vehicular combat racing game. now we have a first-person shooter sci-fi roguelite. That is super exciting to me, and that's coming out Switch 2 March 17th. So
Yeah.
one to look forward to there. I'm always interested in the ways that like these indie developers kind of experiment with like mishmashing genres together.
Yeah, I agree. This one wasn't like too exciting the way they presented it. Kind of just seems like it's a first person roguelike set on a space station. The music was really cool. It's cool to see a first person shooter on Switch. I don't feel like we don't get too many of those, especially from indie devs. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what people have to say about this. I might check it out because I am a roguelite sicko, but nothing really in there grabbing my attention beyond the word roguelite, which admittedly is enough because I am a sicko.
It's funny because that used to be a deterrent for me, and then now that I've kind of gotten used to this trend of roguelites, and I found some roguelites that I absolutely adore, like Dead Cells,
Hades.
Balatro, Hades, yeah, stuff like that. It's like, okay, I'm more accepting of this format. I just always hated the notion of like, oh, I made it so far, I made one mistake, and now it's like starting from scratch. Even
Yeah.
though it's technically not, if it's a rogue light, because there's always progression elements that carry over. That's the definition of the rogue light versus the
Yeah.
rogue like. But yeah, coming to Switch 2 on March 17th. I'm excited to check that out. We'll see how that turns out. I was a little discouraged by the fact that the character designs and art styles kind of look a little generic for
Yeah,
like
that's the thing is it's not really doing anything too crazy. They just said like the dev team was like, we kind of just want a sci-fi game, so we made one. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but there's a lot of those, so
yeah.
we'll see.
Um, but then we got to the montage portion of the show, which we're not going to spend much time on these. There is one that I want to touch on though, because I know you are excited for it, and I also am looking forward to it, even though I have less experience with it than you do. But we got Grave Seasons that's coming summer 2026. Unrailed 2 back on track that is coming to Switch 2 and Switch this May with a demo available now. Toem 2, which I know a lot of people love Toem,
Yeah.
that is coming to Switch this summer. And then a game called Inkonbini, one
Yeah.
store, many stories. It's a game about running a convenience store, or konbini as they know them in Japan. Which, if you've ever been to Japan, you know they are just permeating the culture over
Yes.
there. They're everywhere. They're so much better than the convenience stores in the U.S. Um, a store about running that and kind of, I think, getting to know like the customers, getting to
Yeah.
know the family that's running this store. That is coming to Switch 2 and Switch on April 30th. Did you play this game at some point, Wes, or did you just
No,
hear
I
about it?
haven't. I haven't played it yet. I've written about it a few times. I've actually spoken with the devs before too. They're based in Tokyo, and yeah, it's funny at the top of the show. I said I'm not really into like shop sims, but it turns out they just need a hook, as we'll talk about soon with Pokopia being a sim that I really like. And Inkombini is as someone who frequents Inkombinis every day when I go to Japan and really appreciates the food that they provide to me. Yeah, I'm very excited for this. This is it seems like a very cute and cozy game. That I'm excited for. It seems it's gonna be like a heartfelt little adventure about
Mhm.
running a store. And I also used to work in customer service like that. I was a barista at a coffee shop, so I was like kind of getting behind a cash register again and seeing what crazy stories you hear from people because you do hear some wild things.
Yes, as somebody who worked customer service for about 10 years, I can confirm that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have stories, things people have
same.
told me at late at night at a retailer, just the things that come out of people's mouths when they just need somebody to talk to, apparently.
Oh yeah,
So that is coming to Switch and Switch to April 30th. That is absolutely something I'm going to be checking out. Outbound is coming to Switch 2 and Switch on April 23rd. There is a demo available now. And then a game called Ratatan is
yeah.
launching on Switch 2 on July 26th. I don't know anything about that one, actually.
Let me talk about both of those. Outbound, I've not played, but it got a lot of love in the Steam Next Fest that recently happened.
Hmm.
Um, Again, I don't know much about it, but I know that people that played it really enjoyed it. So maybe give it a look and see if it's something that might be your jam. And then Ratatan is the Patapon spiritual successor from the original developers of
That's
Patapon.
right.
So this is like Patapon 4, if you will, that never happened, coming to Switch.
I forgot all about that. I was like, why does
Yeah.
that name sound familiar? But I can't pull any information out of my brain. And that's why, because I was like, oh yeah, Ratatan and Patapon sound similar. And I remember that announcement and being like, oh,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
It's been in
Well,
early access for a minute now, if I recall.
mhm.
But it's a perfect little Switch game. Like any of these rhythm games, I want to play on Switch.
All right, well, that is coming July 26th. My problem with rhythm games on Switch is that when they tell you to hit certain buttons, I always default to the Xbox placements of A,
Yeah.
B, X, and Y. And yeah, that does not bode well for me when I am playing that on Switch. And it's like, oh, X is actually the left button. And it's like, no, it's the top button on Switch. It's like,
Mhm.
oh.
I
So
always get the ZL and ZR wrong. I could not tell you where those are on the Switch on first blush. Always
yeah.
wrong.
The only one at this point, because Nintendo has confused me on Xbox at this point, because I play on Nintendo way more than I play on Xbox these days. PlayStation, I can keep straight. Like, okay, X is the bottom, or cross is the bottom, circle is the right, square is the left, and triangle is the top. Like that sticks out in my head because it's different from the
Yeah.
letters that are used on Nintendo and Xbox. But Wes, there were two games that we skipped over on this rundown because we have actually played substantial amounts of these games. In my
Yeah.
case, I have played through to the end. This was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Goodness gracious.
4 years ago, I think.
Oh my God.
Came out in 2022.
2022 was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But I think it was late 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
So it's
yeah,
kind of
then.
3.5. It feels like it's just yesterday that I reviewed this game.
Yeah.
But Minishoot Adventures, the Switch 2 edition, has been announced. So there's also a Switch 1 version that doesn't have the same frame rate. I know this because I was looking into, all right, I want to buy this game for Switch.
Yeah.
But it is a free upgrade. So if you don't have a Switch 2 and you buy the Switch 1 version, it is a $0.00 upgrade. So
Yay.
Originally came out in 2022. I think I reviewed it in 2023 because I found out about it because I was at dinner with Dan Reichert and Ben Hansen, and I think it was Dan was like all about the game, and he explained it to me, and I was like, that does sound amazing. And I bought it on my phone through like the Steam app, so it would download, so it would be ready for me to play on the like when I got home, and I just fell absolutely in love with this game. It is like, imagine you take the world of A Link to the Past, and it's a top-down action game, and rather than being a little guy with a sword running around, you are a spaceship, and you are in a twin-stick shooter, like zooming around this Zelda-style world, unlocking new areas and abilities that allow you to reach new parts of the map. And like the encounters themselves are these curated bullet hell boss fights, and like there's also like, you know, dungeons that you have to like work your way through, and like one-off encounters where it's like just like, you know, smaller minion style enemies. But like moving through the, like just cruising through the world feels so smooth and good to just get through it. And like the way that they installed and designed the progression just is so brilliant. There were very few times where I just felt like completely hopeless of like, okay, like what the heck am I supposed to do? Like it's breadcrumbed so perfectly, and like here's what you're supposed to do. And there are some times where I was like confused about what I was supposed to do, but eventually I figured it out. It was like the right balance of that. They make it, everything is so perfectly designed that you don't even have to think about, like, you don't have to like force yourself to think about stuff. You just kind of naturally gravitate towards the things you're supposed to do. And the art style is pretty, and like the gunplay is good. It's difficult without being like, I'm gonna throw my controller at the wall frustrating, you know. Like there were times where I got stuck on a boss or a like there's like little arenas that you enter that are just like you have to defeat wave after wave of enemy. I got stuck on a couple of those every once in a while, but the checkpointing is such that it doesn't really matter that all that much if you die. And it's just a really fun, I think it took me about 10 hours to get through. And if I'm not mistaken, let me bring up my review here. I give it a 9.25, so very high score. It was one of my favorite games. I reviewed this game. Are you sure it came out in 2022? Because my thing says 2024.
Maybe
I was like,
I'm
there's no
wrong.
way it's that old here.
Yeah, I see that too. Why did I think? Maybe I'm thinking of a different game that was on the roundup. But I
Oh
think I
well.
even wrote 2022 on the thing. Huh, I must have gotten that wrong.
But yeah, like the way I put in my review here, let me just read this. Thanks to its excellent utilization of well-worn Zelda-inspired conventions and enough unique twists to differentiate it from the pack, Minishoot Adventures delivers an outstanding bullet hell experience with less frustration than most entries in the genre. I did not set out to 100% Minishoot Adventures, but by the time I reached the end of the story, I'd experienced everything the game has to offer, a testament to how enamored I am with this fun twin-stick title. So I think that I can recommend this game to people who are fans of twin stick shooters, who are fans of bullet hell. Just don't go in expecting like the trademark difficulty that you typically get from that genre, but especially people who are fans of top down Zelda games. Like it is so much fun. It has mystery in the story about like what is going on in this world, and it's an incredible game. So you can go to GameInformer.com and read my entire review. And yeah, I am actually excited to play this again now that I have an excuse to download it onto my Switch.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna check it out. It's only $16 on Switch too. It
Yeah, I
looks
think
like
it is
so.
on sale right now, right? Like
Um,
I know Blueprints, which is the next game we're going to be talking about, launched with a discount. The Switch 2 version, well, both of them are $16. Okay, so there's not a launch discount, but it's just $16.
$16 is still
So
pretty good. Yeah,
that's
looks
not
awesome.
bad
Looks
for
like a
how
perfect
great this
Switch game.
game is. And
Yeah.
you know, like I said, it took me about 10 hours to get through. That's you know, $1.50, less than $1.50 per hour there of
Yeah.
entertainment that you'll get out of that. And it I think that most people listening to this podcast would enjoy it. So that is Minishoot Adventures. And Wes, you and I have both played this game, which is another shadow drop from this indie world presentation, and
Yeah.
that is Blueprints. And I think that a lot of people at Game Informer consider this one of the best games of 2025. I think a lot of people in media in general consider it one of the best games of 2025. It is now available on Switch 2. I think previously it was just PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Was it even on Xbox?
No, I think it was just PS5 and PC
Okay.
actually. Yeah.
I played it on PS5. I'm sure that's where you played it as well. But
Yes. Yeah.
basically, like it's a procedurally generated mystery game, I think is like the
Hmm.
best way to put it, where you are working through this ever shifting, basically like you inherit this mansion from, I think it's your grandfather or your uncle or something.
I think your
And
uncle has died, and in order to inherit the house, you have to reach room 46.
mm,
And this house has a bunch of rooms that are always changing, hence the procedural generation. And so, yeah, the mystery is getting to room 46 and pick back up on it.
yeah, and so basically every time you leave a room and you open up to a new game, right? Like you open up to a new run, the rooms all shift around, and then you go to open a door that hasn't been opened yet in this run, and it gives you, here are some options for like rooms that you can choose, and it tells you here's like the exits that you will have, and here, like, so you don't want to choose one that's going to give you a dead end a lot of the times unless you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
other routes that you can take. But like there are sometimes things that you can do where it's like, all right, well, I have these other two entrances, I am going to go ahead and choose this one that's going to give me a dead end because it'll give me a boost on, like, it'll give me more re-rolls, or I forget what some of the other, like I played it early last year, so like I forget what some of
Yeah,
the
me
other
too.
benefits you can get.
There's like keys and stuff like that. I can't
Keys,
remember
yeah.
the. Yeah, yeah.
And you're looking
Um,
for clues about like what's going on here,
mhm.
like what was my uncle doing with this house, like what even is this house, like how does it change every single day. And like it's just fascinating. There's some all the rooms have, not all the rooms, a lot of the rooms have like puzzles you have to complete.
Mhm.
One of them involves math, which I'm not a fan of, but a lot of them are like word puzzles, or like you have to do something in a certain order, and you're slowly getting closer and closer. There's some things where like you have to have an item that you can keep from run to run, and that'll allow you to interact with a room that you've been to 100 times in a different way. It's really, really fascinating, and it is the ultimate like one more run. All right, this is the
Yeah.
last run of the night, and then you unlock something, and you're like, okay, well now I have to do another run at least. So it feels like this could be another one of those like I am getting on a plane, I'm gonna time travel by playing this game for the next 2 hours, and it's gonna feel like 20 minutes.
Yeah. I put around 12 hours or so into it on PS5. It ultimately I don't think was for me. It just didn't really hold my attention too long. I'm not really the target for these types of mystery games. It's the kind of game where you want to have a journal and you're taking notes because if you go into a run with one single objective, you're not going to enjoy the game because there's too much procedural generation, there's too much randomness to accomplish what you plan. You need to be on the lookout for anything and everything because what you find in this room might tie back to this mystery you dealt with 2 runs ago and so on. And it's a very like heady game in that sense. It's a lot of fun and it's a lot of there's a lot of intrigue that keeps you going. It's just a matter of like for me the randomness kind of didn't work with what the game was trying to accomplish as far as being a mystery, but it worked for a lot of other people. um, and also, I don't know what happens when you get to room 46. I don't know what's in room 46, but people say like it kind of turns the game on its head. And that's like where the real game begins, which is exciting for some people and intimidating for others. I know people put like 100 hours into this game and still find new things to discover, which is terrifying for me. But I think Switch is probably a good spot to play this because it's kind of a slower game. It's very quiet. There's not really music or anything. So it's the type of game I'd want to play like while watching something on TV or having something in the background or on a road trip or on a plane versus playing it on my PS5 wasn't super ideal because like it just doesn't really warrant a full attention gameplay experience like that for me.
Yeah. I'm thinking that I'm going to start over. I have it on my Switch 2 now. I bought it, and
Nice.
it definitely feels like the type of game that would be amazing on a Switch.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm not super in love with like having to carry around a notebook if I'm playing this like on a plane.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I've got a notes app on my phone.
Yeah, there you go.
Just
Or you can
grab
just
my
take screenshots and have those on your Switch gallery. That's kind of what I did on PS5. But honestly, any game where I have to like page through my notes or page through a journal or keep screenshots to remember things, like I typically fall off of those. It's just
a
a big
tough
ask
sell.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to, we're going to wrap this up and then move on to the final thing that we're going to be talking about here, which is Pokemon Pokopia. But our friend and colleague that we already mentioned, Charles Hart,
Yeah.
also reviewed this game, and he gave it a 9.5 out of 10, which is one of the highest scoring games of 2025. I believe this game made our top 10 overall
It did, yeah.
games in Game Informer's 2025 best of. Here is what Charles had to say in his review. He said, Blueprints is everything I want in an indie game, a unique, creative idea brought to life with expert execution. Its combination of roguelikes and puzzle games feels effortless, with each aspect boosting my enjoyment of the other. Like the best puzzle games, it makes the player feel smart, and like the best roguelikes, it makes the player infinitely hungry for another run. So I think that this is another one that is a home run, getting it on the Switch and Switch 2. Or I guess it's just on Switch 2, I think.
I think just on Switch 2. This was also the like closer, one more thing of the Indie World Showcase. I don't know if I mentioned it elsewhere in this episode, but I think this is far and away the best Indie World Showcase they've ever done. I think between demos available, exclusive reveals, game reveals, multiple shadow drops, all packed into 15 minutes, it's kind of a perfect little showcase. Like, I don't want an hour long of this. Like, yeah, shotgun blast these games out to me. Give me some cool reveals. Give me some stuff I can engage with on the day of. I think it's like a perfect Indie World Showcase and definitely my favorite, probably ever, actually.
It was very, very good showcase. I mean, we've talked about the incredible games that were shadow dropped, and even Rotwood, which we have not had a chance to play, but that's from a great developer. And then all these other games that are coming on the horizon, like that, it's one of the better better indie world showcases we've seen, if not the best, in a long time. So
Agreed.
shout out to Nintendo for getting that group of indie developers. I'm sure our pal Jill Grote was also very happy with this this presentation. Go check out Indie Informer. I'm sure that she has a lot of in-depth coverage of that. So
this episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Let's transition to one that you might not see on Indie Informer, which is a AAA game that hits Nintendo Switch 2 this week. It's out now as you were listening to this episode of the podcast. Pokemon Pokopia. Wes, this is a game that you and I have been extremely excited about.
Yes.
I was actually watching the Nintendo Direct when in Paris when this was announced. I was out there playing Pokemon Legends ZA, and they set up a watch party for us to watch the Nintendo Direct in this hotel that we were staying in. So we all gathered around to watch it, and we were like,
They knew.
It was, I mean, well, obviously they knew because it was a Nintendo PR that was also there. But I remember people being like, this is insane that this game exists. And it comes to us from Omega Force, which is the development studio behind Dragon Quest Builders, which if you've played that game and you go into Pokemon Pokopia, you will notice some similarities, also some minor differences, but mostly similarities. I think a lot of people, when they saw Pokemon Pokopia for the first time, they're like, oh, it's just Animal Crossing with Pokemon. And there is an element of that. I would say if you're going to make a Pokopia recipe, right? I would say it's like 50%, maybe 60% Dragon Quest Builders, 20% Minecraft, 10% Viva Pinata, and 10% Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
But Dragon Quest Builders, I think, is the primary inspiration with Minecraft also. Yeah, but Dragon Quest Builders, if you haven't played that, that is an incredible game as well. And I'm not even a big Dragon Quest guy. So, like, I just got sucked into that game when that first one came out. I poured hours upon hours.
Did you play it on Vita when it came out?
I did not play it on Vita. I think I played it on PlayStation 4 when it came out. But yeah, that's one of those games where you can just put your phone on shuffle, listen to some music, because you're doing a lot of tasks in this game and there's not a lot of dialogue. And that is exactly how it would be with Pokopia. I ended up putting on a lot of music. Like, the music in this game is fantastic, don't get me wrong.
Agreed.
But when I'm listening to the same arrangements over and over again for hours upon hours while I'm, finding iron ore to harvest so I can make iron ingots, so then I can build a whatever, like, it starts to wear on you a little bit. That said, the arrangements are amazing. They all have little flourishes that pay homage to the history of Pokemon. You can even find CDs, as they announced at the most recent trailer, that, like, you can find CDs to that was on Pokemon Day, to hand to DJ Rotom, who you can, and like I found, like, all right, here's like the Viridian Forest CD, and like it plays the music from the Game Boy games, and Ecruteak City from Gold and Silver, which is one of my favorite themes in that game. So,
and it's not just like the big city themes either. I mean, there's like route themes. Like, this is and I'm sure we'll continue to get more into it, but it's like very much a love letter to Pokemon, arguably the biggest and best love letter to Pokemon ever made. Like, you can tell that Omega Force, they're either a studio full of Pokemon fans, which is very likely because who isn't, or they got Game Freak's finest to help them inject Pokemon into this gameplay, because it's a treat for Pokemon fans, even outside of what the game is.
Yeah. So let's get into what the game actually is. We've talked a little bit about certain elements and the inspiration and all that. Basically, you control a Ditto who, if you're unfamiliar, is able to transform into anything they see. And you wake up and there is no trace of your trainer. All there is a Pokédex that is like sitting by you, and like you're in a cave by yourself. You wake up and you're like, all right, what is this? So like you look around and there's a character, a Tangrowth, which is the evolved form of Tangela, and basically he's like, hey, like, yeah, like the world is weird, like everything is kind of dead or like in disrepair. The humans have all disappeared, like they all fled, and you have to basically like work with this Tangrowth to rebuild and like restore the region that you are in, which I'm going to try to remain as spoiler free as possible, but it heavily hints at this taking place in a specific region of
Yeah.
the Pokemon world. But basically, like as you go, you're befriending Pokemon, you're building habitats for them. So like you find like a Charmander, and it's like, oh, Charmander likes to live in the tall grass. But first, you had already met Bulbasaur, and Bulbasaur taught you how to make grass grow. So you can make grass grow, and then Charmander's like, hey, thanks so much here for building me an environment. And then like Squirtle, it gave you the ability to spit out water, so you can go around and like water grass, so it's not just all dead dry grass, because Charmander doesn't like to live there. He likes to live in like living green lush grass.
Mhm.
And then like, you know, you get going around there. Not every Pokemon is going to teach you a new move. It's like only certain Pokemon. So like
Yeah,
Dragonite will teach you late game like how to like glide, which is very helpful in like getting around some of the environments, and like it's a little bit faster.
Yeah, it's the when you start the game, you're gonna think that a lot of Pokemon are gonna give you a lot of moves because they do kind of front load it. But that's not the case. You're gonna get a good healthy dose of moves, and then it will be pretty long stretches in between moves depending on how you go about the game. That said, there's still a pretty decent chunk of moves. There's you will get cut. There's the Vine Whip, which lets you like bring grass up out of the
That's
earth.
leafage.
Leafage, yes. Sorry, yeah.
Hitmonchan teaches you Rock Smash, so like you can
Yes.
punch through like different surfaces and like kind of terraform to an extent.
Mhm.
And every time
Excadrill.
and every time you like smash something, it drops, kind of like Minecraft, where you can pick it up and add it to your inventory. It does become a bit of an inventory management game as well, because you have very limited space until you upgrade.
Yes.
And you can upgrade your inventory, which is nice. By the end of the game, I had like, I think 4 or 5 pages of
Oh, wow.
inventory space. Every
That's
time
nice.
you go around, like you can buy a new upgrade for your backpack.
Mhm.
And then you can also build like storage boxes, so like you can store them in like different biomes. And so there's these different areas you go around to, and everyone has a Pokemon Center that has been destroyed, that you need to rebuild, and also like an overarching task, like important task that you need to work towards. In the first one, you know, you're asked to kind of like restore the biome, because it's all withered. It's literally called Withered Wasteland, and
Yeah.
it's all dry. So you're trying to figure out a way to make it rain, because they've been stuck in this drought. So you're going around talking to Pokemon. It's like, hey, does anybody know how to make it rain? Because, you know, you live in the Pokemon world. So surely a Pokemon knows how to make it rain. So you're doing
When you
that.
say make it rain,
Make it
I was like, no,
rain.
which Pokemon which Pokemon knows how to make it rain? Meowth, get on the stage.
Yeah,
Let's
Meowth.
go.
Heyday.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you're figuring out what Pokemon can help you accomplish this task, and you know, just working towards that. And there's like this lineage of like tasks that you need to complete, and it's like, all right, well, what if you go talk to this guy, and then he has a task for you to complete? It's like, oh, I really need this to do that. And then like you're going around in these giant environments, and you can also complete other side tasks as well to like raise the level of the environment. So it's an extremely satisfying experience that expands more and more as you go to more and more biomes. And I was actually surprised by how, I guess, linear the story is. It's very handholdy, and I thought it was going to be much more of a sandbox, and it is a huge sandbox, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
you can go and do stuff in whatever order you want. Or maybe not whatever order, because you need this to get to this other biome and stuff like that. But within the biome itself, you don't have to do like the main story. Like if you want to spend your entire time reconnecting railways, like, which is what I did in the second biome. I spent so much time building this giant rail network so I can just hop in a minecart and cruise around and get to stuff. And that did help me later on. I recommend doing that. But but yeah, and then there's like other stuff you find. You're like, oh, what if I just rebuilt this museum?
Yeah.
And like, there's so much you can do in addition to the main story. And then in addition to that, there is a separate biome altogether that you find that is very much like Minecraft meets Animal Crossing 100%, where it's like
Mhm.
same camera angle, where it's like third person behind, like camera behind you, but you're running around this just massive environment. And it's like they even tell you when you get there, it's like there's no narrative elements here. We have some like quests you can complete, but really this is just a sandbox for you to build like the Pokemon environment of your dreams. And you can bring Pokemon from other biomes to it as well. So there are Pokemon that you can only get at that biome, or at least they're easiest to get in that biome. I'm sure there might be ways to get other Pokemon in other biomes, but it's like, yeah, I'm using that as my base of operations, right? I was like, okay, well, I was in the final environment. I was like, maybe I'll make this like the home that I build, and like that's going to be like the one that I go all out on. I am now using that for the big open one.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. And again, I'm sorry. I'm trying to remain spoiler free. Like even the name of that town is a little spoilery. So I don't know. I just really enjoyed this. I got super into the gameplay loop, and in order to hit embargo, I put like 45 hours into this game over the course of less than a week. And that
Yeah, that's
includes
crazy.
like, I had a birthday during that time. So I was unavailable for like 36 hours during that time. So it was like I was on a super tight deadline, but I was not upset at any time where I was like, I
No,
need to take a full day to play this game now.
it's so fun. It's so easy to lose hours because often, for example, building the Poke Center, that will take like the first one I built, it was like, this will be done tomorrow. And I started at like 10 a.m. So I'm like, okay, you can fast forward in the clock settings. I did check to see if that would work, and it does work. But there's so much stuff to do that if the game says come back tomorrow to see this Pokemon Center done or to see this cottage built or whatever, like you have so much you can go do anyway. You're never like, maybe late game you might be like, I'm kind of running out of things to do, which that island that Brian's talking about comes into play, the little biome where you can do whatever you want. But there's so much to do, and something we didn't touch on is there is not only the complete your Pokedex instinct in this game by finding all the Pokemon, but you actually have a second dex, the habitat dex, which is keeps track of all the habitats you build. So getting Pokemon to appear is in itself a puzzle. For example, an easy one, a shaded grass region or something like that. It's 4 patches of grass by a tree. The first Pokemon that you'll probably get out of that habitat is a Scyther, which will then teach you cut and so on and so on. But then you'll see on the habitat decks, oh, Scyther appears here, and you can see the silhouettes of other Pokemon. They don't really try to hide it. If you know Pokemon, you know who's going to appear. And you can't just assume, well, they will not appear in that Scyther habitat. That's Scyther's habitat. So you need to go build another one that matches that. And then there's different rarities and different conditions that come into play for getting these Pokemon to appear. And they can get pretty drastic. Like I got one yesterday that required I won't say which Pokemon, but I have to set up like a seat, a shower head, which I have not even seen, and put it near some hot water or something like that to get this Pokemon to appear. And so not only is it a puzzle trying to get them to appear, but it's a puzzle trying to figure out, okay, they need a shower head. I haven't seen a shower head. What do I need to do to maybe find one around here or buy one or something like that? And the habitat dex is a lot of fun to fill out, and seeing which Pokemon appears is really cool because it's not always immediate. You might, like yesterday, I kind of did like an hour of habitat building. So today when I hop in, I'm excited to walk in and walk by, and you'll see like the grass ruffling or like the water rippling, and like that's your cue that there's a Pokemon to find. And
or sometimes a Pokemon will even like be over there, and because like you're a Pokemon as well, so like
yeah,
you understand them, so like you're having conversations with them and it's all in English or whatever language you're playing in. But so like it's interesting to like see how they transpose the personalities of these Pokemon to actually like words, because there's not many games where it's like you are having actual dialogue with Pokemon. So it's like you see Scyther and you're like, oh man, that's kind of a scary one, and it's like, hey, what's up, how you doing?
yeah, he says bro a lot. He's like, what's up, bro, can I cut
A lot
some
of them
lumber
say
for you?
yo. I've
Yeah,
noticed
they
that
do. Yeah,
is like I had Mr. Mime in one of them, and he was like, I'd be like, hey, like I want you to build this, and like I'd walk up to him and be like, it's finished, yo. And I'm
Like,
like,
all
all
right,
right.
cool.
He
Yeah,
says
the
yo at the end of all of his sentences.
there's a lot of personality imbued into these Pokemon. My favorite. This is very early, so it's. And I don't know if this is like these aren't like scheduled conversations. Your Pokemon are just talking and yapping all the time and hanging out.
Mm.
But I stumbled upon my Charmander and my Pidgey talking to each other, and Charmander was saying he thinks it's so cool that Pidgey can fly, and he really hopes that he can fly one day somehow. And Pidgey's like, I think there's going to be some flying in your future, which obviously Charmander in the games evolves into Charizard who can fly, and it's just fun little flourishes like that, getting to see how these Pokemon are and imagining what certain ones will talk like is a lot of fun. And there's a lot of love and personality that comes from the Pokemon themselves. Like you won't just gonna get one to appear and use it as a workhorse, although you will be doing that. You're also going to be like watching them live in this world, and they're going to ask for toys or better beds or decorations to raise their comfort level. And so you have reason throughout the game to return to your first Pokemon that you helped appear, because they're always looking for something new to spice up their life. And it is such a treat. Like this is far and away my favorite Pokemon spinoff. I think it might be my favorite Pokemon game since like Gen 6, to be honest.
Wow.
Like I really, really love this game. And I think it's a really good case for the Pokemon Company to be a bit more lenient with letting other devs outside of Game Freak and mobile developers use this IP. Because I mean, for a game that's for Pokemon, the largest entertainment franchise in the world, been around for 30 years, like they don't necessarily surprise us too much, at least in positive ways. Like they're kind of like they have a playbook that we all know, and I feel like Pokopia really steps out of that and is a huge success because of it, and because they hired great talent, Omega Force. Like it's no surprise that Pokopia is good if you know that team.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really hope that its success is like a showcase to the Pokemon Company to maybe let others experiment with the Pokemon franchise in different types of genres. It's what I want a lot of developers to do. We got God of War Metrovania, we got Cadence of Hyrule, which I still love and I wish that we'd get more of. I love this type of thing.
Yeah, and then you did mention one thing that is a hit or miss thing for me, and that is that like you have to sometimes wait for the next day for stuff to happen.
Yeah.
So like if you build like a substantial structure, if you build like a normal house, they'll be like, it'll be ready in an hour. It's like come back at like 8:49 p.m. and it'll be ready. And I'm like, all right, cool. If you're building a Pokemon Center, they say it'll be busy, it'll be ready tomorrow. And then it's like, well, do I want to like time travel on my Switch, or do I just want to wait till tomorrow? So like that did create a little bit of like, all right, I guess like I better hurry up and get this construction project underway because it's 11:30 at night. And like what you need to do any kind of construction is you need Pokemon, which, there's certain specialties. So it's like, oh, well, you need somebody who can bulldoze this, and you need somebody who can build. And every Pokemon not only has their own preferences of like what they like around their house, but they also have specialties. Like, Growlithe can search, and he can search for stuff, and he can burn stuff. And like, Onyx can bulldoze, and then like Girder can build and stuff like that. So you have to have the right Pokemon. And then other times it's just, we just need Pokemon to fill these slots. But then you also need the resources. So it's like, oh crap, I need like 20 bricks in order to build this thing. I better find that before the clock strikes midnight, or I'm going to be waiting for 24 hours for that. So that's one thing I don't really love too much. It does kind of throttle it throttles your progress, but there's never like any shortage of stuff to do. So it's not that big of a deal. I think it was just a bigger deal for me because I was on a deadline.
Yes.
So
that makes sense.
but it does create a little bit of stress if you're hoping to keep playing and keep progressing in a steady fashion. But yeah, I absolutely love this game. We're very, very early in this year, but it's my favorite game I've played this year so far. And I really, really hope that, we keep getting more content on it, and we keep getting like additional games in this series. We got a Dragon Quest Builders 2.
This is
Pokopia
ripe for a
would be
sequel.
Cool. Absolutely.
I think Pokopia, you gave it a 9 in your review. It's definitely worth reading. It's kind of one of those games where it's like, it's really great, and it has just like some small things that aren't nitpicky, but almost like quality of life, where it's like, if this gets fixed in a sequel, we're going to be like cooking with perfection here. Like, for example, the time thing you mentioned is, it can be a dilemma. The like storage boxes is kind of hard to keep up with. Like, I wish
Oh
they were
yeah.
connected maybe, because when you're going across biomes, you have storage boxes and you're like, where's the storage box where I put this in? And you can't find it. There's not really a map necessarily that like does that for you. And
Yeah.
then
Or a way to
also,
search even. That would be fine
yeah,
too. It's like, I want to find this thing that I want to hang in my house for
yeah,
decoration. Where the heck did I put it? I have to go across the many biomes and search like the 4 storage boxes in each biome. And like,
yeah,
I've also missed it when I've scrolled through it. I'm like, I know I have this somewhere. And then I go back and search through the same box again. I'm like, I completely missed seeing it because the icons are small in the
yes,
boxes. So it's,
they are. Yeah.
that is my number one like quality of life hope. But yeah,
Hmm.
it is very, very good even without that that
Yeah.
quality of life update. Um,
The
but
loading times are a little surprising at times. The more you play the game, the longer they get. Because once you do load in, you'll see that like the game remembers everything and it's doing a lot and like keeping track of it. But it's been a minute since I've been in a load time and I've had time to like check my phone. I did one yesterday that
yeah,
was like probably a full minute or so. It was it kind of threw me off. But once you're like in a biome, there's not really any loading at all. Like, it's
there's
just
minimal pop in, I would say. Like, you can see
exactly.
there is pop in like for some of the bigger things as well, especially like if you have like a huge like sight line,
Yeah.
you'll see like kind of the basic outlines of things, and you can also see stuff that is happening. So like, there's one where I was standing all the way on the other side of the biome and I looked over across the entire environment and it was just like a shadow basically, but you could
Hmm.
still see that there was like the cloud of like they are building something there, so you can
Yes.
still like get the sight line there. um but
It's an otherwise like visual treat. Like, it's a very cute art style. It's very the Pokemon are like all new models and stuff too, which is really cool and exciting. And
there's
yeah,
fun
it's
situations that you come into as well. Like, there was one where it was like Onyx was complaining that like there wasn't enough like comfort in his house. So what I did was I put a couch next to his little patch of grass that he liked, and I came back and I talked to him. I was like, hey, I got you that thing you wanted, is like the dialogue option you can choose. And then he's like, oh, thank you so much, I'll go check it out. And then next thing I saw is he walked, like he slithered over to his environment, a big like exclamation point appeared over his head when he saw the couch, and then he curled up on the couch, and it was hilarious
oh,
to see
that's so
Onyx
awesome.
laying down on a couch.
I had one yesterday where my Scyther wanted a bigger bed, so I built him a bigger bed, gave him the bigger bed. He was excited, and then later I watched he went to sleep on it, but he went to sleep standing up on it, and I was like, "Why'd you need a bigger bed if you're just gonna stand on your bed and sleep, dude?" It's
You get a
awesome.
lot of fun interactions like that. But yeah, I
Yeah,
gave Pokemon Pokopia a 9 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that if you have love for Pokemon, for Dragon Quest builders, for Minecraft, or for Animal Crossing, I think this is absolutely worth a look. There's no
hmm,
combat or any kind of like violence or anything, so it's also good for families. Not that
yeah,
Pokemon's ever been inappropriate for families, really, but like, this is like, if you're worried about like, oh well, there's like the whole like animal fighting aspect, this is not that. It's animals living together in harmony and working to nurture the environment, so there's also a good
yes,
message there. And unraveling the mystery of like what happened in this world is also super fun. You find a lot of like journal entries and like stuff
yeah,
like
so
that to that
cool.
effect, that gives you information about like what went down. And it's an enthralling mystery that I enjoyed like kind of unraveling over the course of those 40 hours. So Wes, any closing thoughts on Pokopia before we get out of here?
No, I think I'm somebody who does not care for those types of games typically. Like, I played Animal Crossing, but I only stuck with it as long as my friends did. Wasn't really a game for me. I'm not big on the sim genre. That said, Pokopia is I'm obsessed. It turns out Pokemon was what I needed to get me into one of these games. So maybe if you're someone like me who's like, I don't really dig Minecraft or Animal Crossing or Builders or even Pinata, like if you dig Pokemon, I think you'll love this game because the love of Pokemon will be enough to get you engaged and fall in love with these systems that are obsessive. Like, it's just, I love this game.
And they take such care with the IP as well. Like, just
Yes. Yeah.
like you said at the beginning of this conversation, an absolute love letter to the Pokemon franchise as a whole, and so many little Easter eggs for longtime fans.
It's so fun finding them too.
So that is out now on Nintendo Switch 2. And yeah, I would recommend a lot of people go check that out. I know I've recommended multiple games on this episode, but it was a big week for Switch 2.
Yeah.
But Wes, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of All Things Nintendo.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a blast.
And thank you so much, everyone, for listening. As you know, my Patreon and the associated Discord server are the best ways to get any questions or comments in, but you can also email me at brian@allthingsnintendo.com or hit me up on Blue Sky or Instagram at Brian P. Shea. Wes, tell everyone where they can find you online.
You can find me on Blue Sky at wesleyLeBlanc.bsky.social. You just search my name and it should pop up. And you can find my written words on GameInformer.com, and you can sometimes hear my voice on GameInformer.com's YouTube channel. I don't know why I said it like that. The Game Informer YouTube channel. Sometimes I narrate my reviews. But yeah, show some love. We just we launched the digital version of the Invincible Versus cover. It's a very awesome cover. It's a very awesome magazine. Go check it out and get stoked if it's coming to your mailbox.
That is our show for this week. Thank you again for listening. Take care. We'll see you next time. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode of All Things Nintendo. I hope you enjoyed the show. Before we wrap up here, I just want to give a special thank you to the $10 patrons of this podcast. Alex Stadnick, Andy Junkins, Ben Richland, Chad Brecky, Chaps My Ass, Derek Sigmund, Dusty Beeman, Ian T. Clark, Jawar Hello, Johnny Five, Jose Villalobos, Joshua DeProy, Casey Radio Man, Cody Gibson, Creeper 207, Ozman83, Paul at Drunk on Mako, Pratable, Rob McCann, Bobby Mac 265, Robert Sosa, Roberto Nieves, Roger Reichert, Russell Sayer, Smithy Poo, Zane Sink, and Zek 3 Sword Sama. Thank you so much for your continued support of this show. I could not do it without you.
Hi, I'm Ryan George, host of the Portable Hole podcast. It's a podcast for creatives, especially indie comic makers, where we talk craft, conventions, publishing, and what it really takes to build something from scratch. I share real experiences from in the trenches and sit down with indie creators, big and small, to talk about the work behind the work. If you're building your own creative path and want honest conversations about making comics, this is the show for you. Search for the Portable Hole podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and watch out for the hole.